Okay, so I've been artifact hunting a little bit, not too much, just a reasonable amount. And I discovered quite a few things in the process, so here's what we're gonna talk about today. Oh, and if you wonder how to make money in the game, yeah, you got your answer right here. The main goal of this video is to show you my favorite artifact hunting routes. After a lot of testing and running around, I think I found some very efficient paths you can repeat, whether you want to make money, catch them all to make good artifact builds, and so on. You can find a lot of maps online, but they're missing a lot of information, so I handcrafted my own map with all the good spots that I double checked, then triple checked to make sure all my info was correct. There's different versions that we're gonna cover, and everything is available to download in the video description. It doesn't include the very late game areas yet, but when you reach these, you'll be close to the end of your playthrough and super stack already anyway. But first, I want to talk quickly about the base mechanics, the different armors, the detectors, and a lot of tips to make your life easier that a lot of people don't seem to know apparently. Then we'll move to the best artifact hunting routes and the ones I personally think are the most efficient. After that, we'll talk about good artifact builds for farming, fighting, and everything in between. And we'll finish with a quick guide on how to get every single legendary artifact. Some are useless, some are amazing, but they're all pretty fun to get. And everything is organized neatly into different chapters, so just skip to whatever info you're looking for. Okay, let's go. First, the basics. After an emission happens, every anomaly has a chance to spawn an artifact. It's not guaranteed, but there's a chance. Out of all the artifacts available in the game, all the blue ones are what I call story artifacts, and you can only find them once. For example, the ones you pick in scanners during scripted events, or you find next to a dead stalker body in a very staged manner, these will not respawn. Only actual anomalies can respawn artifacts after each emission. This is all the green markers you can see here. You should hit every spot at least once anyway, it's gonna yield you a crazy amount of artifacts. If you're lucky, you will be set for your whole playthrough. And after that, if you want to keep farming them, you will have to focus on the green spots. We'll talk more about these locations in details in the farming route section. You will need a detector to find artifacts. If we ignore the echo detector you start with because it's kinda useless, every other detector is good enough to find every type of artifact. The bear detector with a 50-meter range, as soon as you get one you're pretty much set. Then there's the Veles with a slightly better range of 60 meter and a much better accuracy with the updated screen, and the S.T.A.L.K.E.R with a crazy 100 meter range, but kind of a pain in the ass to use to actually pinpoint where an artifact is when you get really close. It's great to do drive-bys and check an anomaly without needing to get close, and if there is something, you can switch to a more accurate detector. The bear and S.T.A.L.K.E.R, you will get them through missions, stashes, dead stalker bodies. The Veles so far, I only got one a bit late through the main questline. Maybe there's other ways, but I'm not sure. It's more of a quality of life detector anyway, and it's not absolutely necessary to have it. In terms of armor, of course a scientific suit like one of the SSP or a SIVA is ideal. If you decide to upgrade it, always focus on chemical and thermal protection first, then psi protection. This is the type of damage you cannot completely avoid in anomalies. Electrical and physical can easily be avoided, so having more protection for this is not a priority. And you can deal with radiation with vodka, meds and whatever. By the way, the green slots in your suit protect you from the artifact radiation, so put the most dangerous ones in there. Anything in the regular non-protected slots will need to be counterbalanced by artifacts, removing radiation. And we'll talk about the builds I like and find super useful a bit later. Electro anomalies will literally hone on you if you have artifacts attached to your belt. Remove them to artifact hunt in peace, they will go back to their random pattern and not follow you everywhere. The flashbang anomalies are a real pain in the ass. It's hard to avoid them and they will damage your armor and weapons a lot. If you really want to do them, unequip your weapons before going in, at least to offset the repair cost you're gonna have to deal with. I personally don't do them, and they spawn thermal artifact anyways, it's nothing special, you can get these in 50 other places in the zone. And S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is not like Gamma, for example, where the quality of artifacts gets better the more north in the zone you go. Here you can find pretty much everything everywhere. It's just a matter of luck if you can get an expensive, rare artifacts or just some junk. Being efficient is what matters, so let's talk about the best farming routes. Again, the blue spots are scripted story artifacts. Go get them, of course. Some of them are pretty good, and it's free money anyway, but it's not something you can farm. After you hit the spot, that's it. So let's focus on the green markers. All these spots have been triple checked, they 100% respawn artifacts. Not everything will respawn after each emission. Generally, I like to wait 2-3 emissions and a couple nights of sleep before going artifact hunting, just to make sure that most anomalies had the time to respawn something. Some will pretty much always have something after an emission, some have much longer timers and need more time, it's a bit random. There's 5 different routes I like to do, and they all link together to make a giant trip around the zone, if you want to hit every single spot in one go. But each of the 5 routes begin and end with a guide, so you can start, stop and fast travel wherever you want at any point. Depending at which point you are in the story, which choices you made and faction you sided with, all guides might not be available to you. It's not really an issue. Okay, let's do that straight in Photoshop, ghetto style. It's fine, I'm not gonna cover everything anyways, it's just to give you like some little clues and things like this. So the first route starts, it starts in cordon, but I put dotted lines because it's not the most efficient route. Like, you can do it, but it's only 2 anomalies in cordon, and it's a lot of running for not much. Technically the best is to start in Zalicia, but like you might not have the guide anymore if Zalicia fail, which is my case. Besides this, you just follow the path, pretty much. At this intersection here, like the routes branch out. I like going south of the zone, but like you can of course go do the other route if you want. Everything links anyways, and there's guides, as I said, at the beginning and end everywhere, so following a route exactly is not mandatory. I like doing that one, the long way pretty much. Ribs and this anomaly here have much longer timer to respawn artifact than other anomalies. As I said before in the video, it's pretty random sometimes, but they definitely do respawn. And I didn't include the stuff in Duga because they have very long respawn times too, and they're like a bit out of the way. And I completely forgot Malachite because there's not much and it's too much running. So that's it. For example, like for the first route, yeah, you just follow everything, you end up in Rostock. When you arrive in Rostock, either you go start the other route, or like you go to Janov and then you come back. I tried all of these routes. I try to avoid all the cliffs, all the things, so generally if you follow the path, it's gonna work pretty well. And for the swamps, I don't do the swamps that much because it's kind of tricky. It looks like it's very dense in artifacts, but if you look at the distance, you have to run much longer. Like, swamps are like very big and it's very hard terrain to go through. I still do the swamps from time to time. Like, you just teleport to, you just take a guide to Sverdlovsk and then you just like do the little square and then you go back to do whatever you want. And that's it, pretty much. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just artifact hunting routes. There's not much else to do. Like, you have everything on the map. I will have different versions of the map available, like maybe like without names, if you don't like them. I'm probably gonna have one without the story artifact and without the legendary artifact, so it's only the stuff you can repeat, and that respawns. And you will see that some anomalies are marked red on the map. It's either like flashbang anomalies that are like a bit out of the way, or like annoying anomalies to do when you have to do like parkour and shit like this, that are like not worth the time pretty much. But they do respawn stuff, so if you really want to do everything, you can still do them. And yeah, that's it pretty much. In terms of artifact builds, let's be honest, Weirdwater is kinda broken and probably at the core of all my builds right now. I cover how to find it at the end of the video with all the other legendary artifacts, and you can get it early because you don't even need a detector for legendary artifacts. On top of giving you 40 kilos of extra carry weight, which is already crazy in itself, it's the best artifact to remove radiation to counterbalance other equipped artifacts. It can counterbalance 4 maximum radiation artifacts, which is nuts. The second best for this, Liquid Rock, can only counter 1 max rad artifact. That's how crazy good Weirdwater is. And the side effects are very mild, so yeah, it's definitely in every single build I play. If I need to do a lot of fighting, I will generally play Weird Ball, another legendary artifact that gives a lot of bullet res, and a compass, or a magic cube if you haven't a compass yet, because it's hard to find, for even more damage mitigation. There's of course a lot of weaker physical protection artifacts that I'm not gonna mention, that's why we do artifact hunting. You can use them, but we try to get the good stuff. I guess if you have to use a medium protection one, try to use something that has at least 2 useful stats, like Flowerbud, Whirlwind, and so on. After that, some bleeding resistance, Hypercube being the must, Petal being decent too, and I like some extra endurance, so Thunderberry or Crest. You can go even tankier if you want, but that's the base idea for fighting builds. When I go artifact hunting, even with a good upgraded suit, I like getting extra chemical and thermal protection, so I'm barely taking any damage. Liquid Rock and Hypercube are the best in slot, but there's of course weaker alternative that you can use while you wait to get them. After that, I like straight endurance, to just be able to run pretty much non-stop from anomaly to anomaly without chugging 50 energy drinks. And depending on your armor and the artifact slots you have available, Weird Water is still here if you need it. It will of course depend on which armor you're using and how many slots you have available, but these days my all-rounder build to do a bit of everything is this. It covers pretty much everything: carry weight, endurance, bullet res, and bleeding protection. You don't really need anything else, to be fair. Okay, let's talk about the legendary artifacts and how to find them. And we'll start with Weird Water because it's probably the most important one. You need to show up in Zaton at the Wandering Lights anomaly before 10 PM, because the anomaly starts at 10 PM, exactly in front of this rock. And then you make a save and you just wait. At 10 PM the anomaly will spawn, and if you're lucky, the artifact is gonna be straight in front of you, like me right here. If it doesn't work, just reload your save and just do it until it spawns. If you have a really hard time having the artifact to spawn, try to do exactly the same thing, but try to make your save before 10 PM, like 200 meters away from the anomaly, and just like walk to it. Next one is gonna be the Weird Ball that you can find at the Bulba anomaly in the Lesser Zone. That one is pretty straightforward, it's just a matter of timing the anomaly and moving from hiding place to hiding place while it's not sucking you in. You just pick up the artifact, heal if you need to, and just leave. That's pretty much it. Still in the Lesser Zone, you can find the Weird Flower at the Poppy Field. That's gonna be right here behind this house. That one is pretty easy too, you simply run straight to it. You can get some energy drinks just in case if you run out of endurance and you're falling asleep, and you just pick it up and leave. That's it. This is not a really good or useful artifact, but I guess if you want all of them or for the money, it's still good to get. Next is the Weird Nut artifact that you can get in one of the 2 tornadoes you find on the map. That one is the one in Yanov. You just have to wait in this building and just wait for the tornado to come to you. When it's gonna pass right in front of you, you're gonna see kind of a door open and you can get into the eye of the tornado. Just don't rush too early like me or you're gonna get knocked on your ass. And now you don't have to rush, it's just a matter of doing some parkour while staying inside the tornado to not get knocked out. There's nothing really complicated and the path you have to follow is kinda obvious, just take your time. Actually, you're not supposed to rush, just stay inside the tornado and everything's gonna be fine. When you reach the end, just sprint to the top and the artifact is gonna arrive right behind you. Just smash F until you grab it and then you can just jump from the top and land right on the anomaly and you're good to go. The other place to get a Weird Nut is at the Fire Tornado in the Cooling Towers. That one is pretty straightforward too. As you can see, the tornado heats up everything around it, so you just have to wait for it to cool down and do some parkour before it heats up again. Again, everything is pretty easy to follow, and at the end the weird nut is gonna be right here. Right now I don't have it because I picked it up at the other tornado, but it's supposed to be here if you haven't picked it yet. Okay, and last one, the weird pot that you can get in the burn forest by going to this house. So first you're gonna cross the mist, you're gonna arrive at the house, there's gonna be some bloodsuckers, kill them. You can try to loot the house, you're not gonna find anything, you try to leave, it's gonna teleport you back to the house. You do some more investigation, you can open some doors, you will find a way to the basement. The first time I did it there was nothing in it. I tried to leave again, it teleports you back to the house. Basically you do that until the basement door that you can find outside is open. There you're gonna find a key on the floor. You go back to the house, it's gonna open the door that's like right in front of you when you get in. Then you can climb to the attic, break some planks, drop down, and the artifact is gonna be right in the firehouse. I think there might be some different ways to solve this, it might not be everything exactly in this order, but you get the idea. You just come in, come out until you can solve the problem pretty much, it's nothing complicated. To be fair, the weird water, the very first one we covered, is the most important artifact to get. Then the weird ball is pretty useful too, but anything after that, they're not really useful artifacts. They're good money if you want to sell them or if you just want to collect everything.